So I'm a filmmaker. I make films. And I want to tell you that if I could become a filmmaker, anyone in this hall can become anything they want. Anything. I will take you through my childhood memories. It's very important because I want to, say a lot of things through what I've lived. I grew up in Calcutta. I mean, everyone grows up somewhere. So growing up, I was a very shy kid. We used to go for these functions and marriages, and I was just petrified of people. You know, there were these sweet aunties saying hello, and there were these scary uncles saying hello, beta, and I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, I would be in one corner. And mera bhai upar se, he used to, just push me ahead and say, uncle, speak to him. He's my brother. And I was like, why are you making me speak? I don't want to talk to them. So that happened, and then, one very interesting thing happened. One day I was sitting, doing nothing. Actually, at that age, you're usually doing nothing. So I was sitting, I just made a sketch. I sketched a Bollywood actor from a magazine, sketched it, and left home. And then my mother came in, and she saw the sketch, and she was like, Eureka! And she ran out of the house into the neighborhood, announcing to everyone, my son is an artist. My son is an artist. And from that day, I became the sketch artist of the community, official sketch artist. So this time, whenever I went for a marriage or a function, I would make a sketch. So the strict uncle would come around and, sit in front of me, and I would be sketching him, and I would be telling him, uncle, chin down. And he would be like, beta, I was, uncle, don't speak. Lips, please, bun. Yeah. No, you cannot smile. Okay, you can smile a little. So here I was, controlling this man, this mammoth of a man, and I realized this is a superpower. I mean, I'm controlling him. And, that's a myth that superpowers are only with superheroes and only a Spider-Man, Suk and Superman, and all of them have superpowers. Who created them? We created them. So we have the superpowers. Of course, I was still the shy kid in school, so making friends was very important. And, and I couldn't speak, I couldn't make friends, and I was struggling with that. And, when a period got over and a teacher went one day, I just took out my pencil box, opened it, took out the rubber, took out the pencil, the sharpener, and I started telling a story to the guy sitting next to me. And, by and by, one by one, all the other kids started collecting. And then it became a thing. Every time a period got over, the entire class surrounded my desk. And I was there, cooking up stories and telling them things. And the moment the next teacher walked in, tuck, 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 everyone was back to their seats. Now here was another superpower that I discovered. I was a storyteller. Now the next phase of my life, I was pretty average at everything. But I wanted to be in some school team, And I really worked hard in cricket, and they didn't select me in the school cricket team. I was rejected, out. So I just walked out and went to the nearby ground, and I was like, hey, you, want to form a cricket team? And they were also, doing nothing like me. They joined me. We started playing cricket. We are enjoying every day after school, we are playing cricket. Now that friend who got selected into the cricket team is sitting next to me and cribbing. The captain didn't put me in the playing 11. He didn't even make me bat today. He put me down the order. Batting hi nahi aaya. I am listening to him. I'm like, I don't have that problem. I'm the captain of my team. So here was another superpower that I had. When the system didn't accept me, I broke out of the system and I made my own little system. And I became the captain of it. I was leading it. Now, Another big memory of my childhood is with my father. I was, extremely close to my father, and he used to take me for movies. I mean, for some reason, my mother wouldn't accompany him. She was too busy, and so it was me and my dad going for all these movies, first day, first show. And I remember we were watching a movie called Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak. So it was called QSQT then. We were sitting, watching the film, and I was loving the film. I was loving the hero. I had a side parting then. And in the middle of the film, I made a middle parting. I was like, kya hero hai? And movie reached its climax, and the hero died. And I got up from my seat. I said, Dad, he died. And everybody around is looking at me, and my father's like, sit down, I'll explain to you. After the movie, I'll explain. He made me sit down. The movie got over. We stepped out. I was still in shock. And I was like, Dad, he died. The hero died. Dad is like, he didn't die. This is all pretend. They're making a movie. I was like, what? He's like, yeah. This guy, he didn't die. He's probably sitting in some theater having popcorn watching this movie right now. I was like, really? I was like, can you do that? I was like, man, this is the best superpower. I mean, this is the superpower I want to have. This is what I want to do. Filmmaking. Wow. Now, of course, grew up, out of school, went into college, started hearing conversations. This one's doing CA, that one's doing MBA, CA, MBA, and there's this herd mentality that happens at that time. Everybody is doing CA, MBA. I also got into the queue. I also started doing CA, MBA. So I studied very hard. For 5 years, I worked very hard. I got through my CA. I went for my MBA to Delhi. And I was doing pretty well in my MBA also. Then something very interesting happened. It's called a plot point in films, where your life takes a different direction. So I was in my MBA and there was a reunion. So reunion is basically all the ex-students come in. So all these, guys came in, crisp shirts, ties and suits, and they're all giving their cards like that. And I was like taking the cards, and we sat around a table, and they're like talking about the financial markets and capitalization and inflation, and I was getting deflated. They were like talking about this and that and sweat equity, and I was sweating. I was like, stock market super ja rahe, this, that, the market looks bullish, and I was sitting there looking foolish. I was not understanding a thing. I had passed these exams in theory, but when it came to the practicality, I was getting a fever. I just left that party, went back into my room, shut my door, and I was like, Mridul, what have you done? 5 years of your life you've given to this and you don't know anything. Now, usually there's a practical side to everyone. It's usually on the left side. So my practical side said, listen, it's okay. You will get over it. You will learn the ropes. I was like, but how will I? I don't get a thing. Practical side, look, you're going to get lakhs of rupees, crores of rupees. Just do it. I was like, but it will not give me happiness. He was like, what will you tell your parents? I was quiet. Like, what will you do if not this? That got me thinking. I just shut my eyes and I was like, what will I do? And I shut my eyes and went back to my childhood and cut like reels. My life was rolling in front of my eyes. And the first thought that came, that I was that artist. The second thought that came, I was the storyteller. The third thought that came, I was the captain, leading a ship, breaking the system when it didn't work for me. And it finally brought me to my moments with my father. And I opened my eyes and I said, I am going to be a filmmaker. Went to the telephone booth. There was no mobile phones then. Stood outside. And of course, it's very difficult to make that call to the parents. I was like, karu, nahi karu. And then I saw a poster. And the poster had the same hero from QSQT. And the movie was Lagan. So I was like, let's watch a movie. I went in and I was absolutely blown by this film. I was like, wow, you can make films like this. You can tell an underdog story. You can through a sports drama. I was like, wow. And it built my resolve further. Yes, I'm going to make a film. I came out, made the call. My father picked up the phone. I told my father, I'm leaving my finance and MBA and I'm going to be a filmmaker. And my father was like, yes, all the best. My mother probably slapped his arm. He's like, what's wrong with you? What all the best? She took the phone. She's like, Mridul, you are coming back to, if you get into filmmaking and all this, you're not coming back to Calcutta. I was like, Mama, I'm not going to Calcutta. I'm going to Bombay. Then my brother took the phone. And my brother's like, ठीक है, I was thinking of doing something else. Now I'll take a steady job. You be the risk taker, I'll be the steady guy. I'll make the money, you blow the money. I was like, done. Family has signed me off. I was off to Mumbai. Now, of course, first day I landed in Mumbai, I had heard all these struggle stories. And I was to reach my Mamaji's house and I got late. And he had said 10 o'clock lights out, I'll not open the door. I didn't have any place to go to. So I'd heard stories of people sleeping in stations and people sleeping on the road. And I was like, do I need to do all this? So I played a little smarter. I went to JW Marriott and I walked in and I sat in the lobby and I opened a book and I slept off. And I got up at 6 in the morning, shut the book, came back to Mamaji's house and chilled. I mean, my struggle happened in a 5-star hotel. That was the difference. Now, of course, practical side again came away. What happened? You have to make a film. I was like, yeah, I'm going to make a film. He said, but for that, you have to know how to make a film. You have to know how to write a film. Now, of course, I had spent so much time and I was not a reader. I didn't read much in the childhood, but everyone should read. It's a great habit. And I watched those Hindi films, but I hadn't watched much Hollywood, much other cinema because I was too busy studying. When you're studying, you're only studying. So I was like, how do I write? What is my source material? And then one night when, I was living with my roommate and he had thrown a party at home and I was like, I'm not coming into that party. I'll be shut in my room because I was like, I can't party. I've left so many things and come here. That night, I got a thought. I was like, what have I come here for? I've come here to make a film. Why don't I write a story about a boy who wants to make a film? I started writing all my life experiences. By 6 in the morning, I had my first script ready. It was a film called Missed Call, and it got made. And fortunate for me, it did very well in the festival circuit. It went all the way up to the Cannes Film Festival, which is the most prestigious festival in the world. It's like that Hindi picture with stars, that never happened. This was more of an experimental film. Called home and my father came on the phone and he's like, use your connections. I just figured out one thing. I was like, film connections, we don't have none. Who will I connect with? He's like, my father was like, I just remembered. So my grandfather and Raj Kapoor Saab were best friends in college in Xavier's Calcutta. So figure that out. I was like, Dad, I can't go and stand outside the Kapoor bungalow and say that our grandfather had passed away, Raj Kapoor Saab had passed away. I can't scream that, hello, give me a chance. Our grandfather were friends. I can't do that. Then my mom grabbed the phone and said, come back home. I've been lying to everyone, you're doing advertising. I was like, then my brother grabbed the phone. He said, do what you're doing. I'm still in my steady job, making enough money. Take your risks. This time, I thought I really wanted to make a film with a child as a protagonist. Really wanted to. I really wanted to make a film about an underdog, which had a sport in it. Kept thinking, kept looking out, but it lied right inside me. There was an incident in my childhood where my father, who was a prolific snooker player, he had got wronged. in a club because of a weakness of his. And as a kid, I took on the mantle. I picked up the game of snooker and I won the championship for him. That gave birth to Tulsidas Jr. I wrote the screenplay and used all my life experiences, put it in there, started pitching the film, rejected. I got rejected. I don't know, I lost count of how many producers and actors rejected me. I realized I had two big problems. Now, usually a film is driven by a star, by the hero. My hero was a 13-year-old. Nobody would, I couldn't expect a Shah Rukh Khan to play a 13-year-old. It had to be a kid. The second problem I had was, who makes a film, producers who makes a film on snooker? Make a film on... So I had these two instances where producers would say, let's make the age of the boy 21 and then we'll cast one of these actors. I was like, can't do that, sorry. This is the story. Another producer is like, why don't we make this wrestling? Khada, we'll do fighting action. I said, no, it has to be snooker. That is the story. I didn't give up. I kept persisting. It didn't happen. Years went by. I was not leaving my guns. My family was getting worked up. My mother was like, come back home. My father was still thumbs up, ever positive. And I had to make a film for my father. And this was it. I had to make it. My brother called me to the Middle East and he had set up a job for me. He said, now you do a job. You're married, you have kids, you need to get into a job now. You can't be doing this. This passion has a limit. So I went into this interview, I went into this job, and the owner of the company asked me, so what brings you here? Why are you taking up this job? And I was like, sir, honestly, I don't want to take up this job. He's like, what? I was like, sir, I want to make a film. He's like, he cancelled all his meetings that day. He took me home. We had a long evening conversation. And he told me something very interesting. He said, you have been knocking on this wall forever. The wall is not breaking. What if you just go back once more and knock just that one more time? The wall might break. I came out of there. I told my brother, see you, man. I'm going for one more try. Came back to Mumbai. Knocked on that wall once more. And the wall came down. And right in front of me, I had my producer, Mr. Ashutosh Govarikar. He said, heard the narration, he said, make the film. I said, sir, but it'll be a 13-year-old. We can't increase the age. He said, no, who's telling you to increase the age? I said, sir, but we won't change the sport. It'll be snooker only. He said, I will not let you change the sport. From that point, I went about making this film. And most of you here have seen the film. Now I'll just tell you 4-5 strokes of destiny to sum this journey of mine up till now. To sum it up, is that I made this film for my father. I loved him. Even in my school ambitions, essays I used to write, they used to, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to take care of my parents. I'm going to take care of my father. I made this film for my father. I wrote a film where I had done something for my father back then. I was still doing it now. The second coincidence that happened is that the sketch that I had made back then as a child was of Sanjay Dutt. And Sanjay Dutt came in as the coach of my film. The third big coincidence was, it got produced by the man who had made Lagan. He produced my film. The fourth coincidence was QSQT, which had changed my life. The father in that film became the villain of my film. He was Jimmy Tandon, Dilip Dahil. And the fifth was, father had said, connection, Dada and Raj Kapoor were friends. Somehow it happened. Raj Kapoor's son was the father in my film. And this film got me the ultimate honor that a filmmaker seeks for. Um, it got me to walk the red carpet and meet the Honorable President of India to receive my first national award.